Hello, I'm Chris Bogg and welcome back to another album review. Today, I'm going to be reviewing Rush's second studio album, 1975's Fly By Night. This is Rush's first album with drummer Neil Peart, who joins returning bassist/vocalist Geddy Lee and guitarist Alex Lifeson. With their lineup now solidified, Rush sees a major shift in sound on Fly By Night. Whereas Hard Rock had been the beating heart of Rush's debut, it's little more than set dressing on Fly By Night. Side 1 of this album showcases Rush's growing predilection towards a more progressive rock sound, culminating in an 8.5-minute suite. The greater part of Side 2 is focused more on commercial pop rock and acoustic sounds. On the previous album, the band's lyrics had been pretty straightforward rock songs about relationships. On Fly By Night, Rush's lyrics get a lot more out there and more varied. This is largely due to the addition of Neil Peart, who will play a large role in songwriting from here on out. Rush would follow upon the format of Fly By Night for their successive albums, and as such, Fly By Night is one of the most important albums in the band's discography. Now, before we start the song-by-song breakdown, the way this review works is I will break the album down song by song before finally giving my thoughts and rankings of the album as a whole. I'd like to encourage everyone to bear with my ramblings and watch the whole video as I do have a lot to say. Anthem starts the album off nice and hard, much like the previous album. We've got good playing as always, but this song is far from a stand-up track for the band. The arrangement is pretty standard and there's no good hook or chorus here. Perhaps the most notable thing about Anthem is the lyrics. The lyrics are a messed up hype song that has its ethos rooted in greed and ambition. The voices actually work really well here. It's a shame they're lacking a good chorus. So in the end, Anthem feels a bit incomplete. It has a solid foundation and great verses, but is missing a catchy chorus and a memorable backing to round it out into a great song. Best I Can is a character song by a no-nonsense rock and roll guy who doesn't want to waste his time with what he views as trivialities. The song does have a good riff to it, but does lack anything in the way of an effective hook or catchy chorus. This song is overly wordy, despite the singer's constant reminder that he doesn't want to talk when he could be walking out. This irony serves to be the song's undoing, as once you notice just how many lines there are in this song, you start counting how many are too many. And believe me, Best I Can has far too many. Beneath, Between, and Behind is built around a good riff, and has a sturdy chorus that falls sounding like a song that could have been on Rush's debut. The music is a good kick of rock and roll, but as is the case with the band's new style, the lyrics are once again cryptic. This song is about the replacement of nature with cities, as well as the change from agriculture to an urban lifestyle. The lyrical style here is cryptic enough to avoid being overly blunt and preachy, but clear enough to avoid being overly obscure. Best I Can may seem unimpressive on its face, but it is a very sturdy album track nonetheless, with good lyrics and a solid theme behind it. By-Tor and Snow Dog is the song that really sets Rush on the direction they will go down for the rest of the 1970s. An 8.5-minute long fantasy epic about a demonic prince named By-Tor going out to face a creature known as Snow Dog. It's not overly wordy or complex. The band lets the music do most of the talking, with the lyrics only adding some exposition at the beginning and end. The song starts out with a lot of high rock and roll energy during the opening. After a while, the song goes into an instrumental battle between Snow Dog and By-Tor, during which blows exchanged between the two are illustrated by Lifeson's electric guitar. After this, there is a slow calming of the music, a very mournful but peaceful sounding segment where the outcome of the battle is unclear. Throughout this section, you can hear the beat of a militaristic drum that begins to work the song back up to a harder level. After this is a section that is characterized by two lumbering electric guitars. This then leads into the reveal that in the end, the Snow Dog has come out victorious and has forced By-Tor to retreat back into hell. Snow Dog is then hailed as a hero who has saved the world. On subsequent albums, Rush would continue to do these long, multi-part songs that tell some sort of fantasy or sci-fi story to them. By-Tor and Snow Dog is a pretty good entry in this style, especially given that this is Rush's first one. Now, before we go on to side 2 of the album, I want to remind you that if you like this style of album review, to please like this video by hitting the thumbs up button below, hit the subscribe button, and consider watching some of my other videos after this one is through, as these things help me out a lot. Fly By Night has a great opening hook, and great playing throughout. Rush finally gives us a good chorus on this song, and it also boasts a great set of verses and a memorable bridge. The playing here is both hard, but at the same time feels very commercial, almost pop rock in a way. Lee and Lifeson's playing is great throughout, and Lifeson's solo is the best on the album. Lee's slightly distorted vocal is also his best on the album, with a lot of forceful energy to it. This song is also a good early showcase of Peart's range as a drummer. Peart spends most of the song doing drum fills in the background, but also does a very good job at keeping the rhythm, especially during the guitar solo. Lyrically, this song is about flying away into the future. On its own, the song has a good deal of applicability to it, with the song being applicable to either a literal reading about actually traveling somewhere new, or about just seizing the reins of life and going boldly into the future. Making Memories is the perfect song to follow Fly By Night. The themes of the last song are present here too, with Making Memories being an optimistic look at the joys of traveling and making memories. The chorus is good here as well, and the lyrics work quite well. Geddy Lee's vocal is great once again, feeling very energetic and happy, which suits the lyrics perfectly. This song sees the band start to veer into a more folksy territory, not just in the lyrics but in instrumentation. The acoustic guitar plays a dominant role in the backing here, making the song really stand out from the tracks before it. Rivendell then completes Making Memories' shift into acoustic territory. This is a purely acoustic ballad with a very peaceful feel throughout. This song is about a place where the singer feels he can find sanctuary and rest both his body and mind in peace. And yes, it is also about the location from Lord of the Rings as well. This follows up the themes of the previous songs on side 2 perfectly, being like a short rest in between adventures. In the End starts off with an acoustic section before breaking back into the harder rock of earlier parts of the album. This helps to make the transition from the last song go smoothly back into rock, as it probably would have been somewhat jarring otherwise. This song has so-so lyrics that I think are supposed to be some sort of love song. The playing from the whole band is pretty good throughout the song, but the little standout here is Geddy Lee's excellent bass line on the rock part of the song. Still, In the End suffers from many of the same problems as the songs on side 1 of this album. While it is delivered well, it lacks anything memorable in the way of lyrics or a hook. It's good while it lasts, but it doesn't really transcend the album in any meaningful way. Alright, that's it for the song-by-song breakdown. So now, before I go on to my final thoughts on the album, let's look at my final scores for the songs. I give Anthem, 6 out of 10. Best I Can, 6 out of 10. Beneath, Between and Behind, 7 out of 10. By-Tor and Snow Dog, 7 out of 10. Fly By Night, 10 out of 10. Making Memories, 8 out of 10. Rivendell, 7 out of 10. In the End, 7 out of 10. Every song on this album is good, but most of the songs go no further than that. On Fly By Night, Rush sees a significant growing pain, struggling to adapt to both a major stylistic shift and their new lineup. Rush could have tried to make Rush 2, a rehash of their debut that would have gotten old quick. What they chose to do instead was to adapt to their changing environment and show flexibility that was necessary to avoid becoming a 1 or 2 album wonder. The band's grasp for a unique identity has resulted in a temporary reduction in the quality of their music. Regardless, this was a necessary step that was for the better. All of the stylistic decisions made here would pay off big time for the band in the near future, but here they give Rush mixed results. The first side of Fly By Night is admittedly rather subpar. There are some good moments in there, but the energy feels a bit lacking throughout. Everything is delivered well, but it feels like there's a spark that is missing, especially on the first 2 songs. Side 2, on the other hand, does a lot to make up for this. Fly By Night gives us our first true glimpse at greatness, and Making Memories is a really good song as well. These songs carry out a transition from harder rock to a more acoustic sound while keeping the same lyrical theme, which leads perfectly into Rivendell. Rivendell serves as a proper ending to the loose trilogy of the travel songs, being about a place to rest between travels and completing the previous song's journey from hard rock to acoustic. These songs make great utilization of the album format, with these songs working very well in conjunction together. The last song of the album, In the End, admittedly drops the ball a bit, being able to stick the transition from acoustic back into hard rock, but veering off theme lyrically, and despite its title, it does fail to deliver a true epic ending to the album. So in the end, Fly By Night is a mixed bag of many good ideas that fail to go the extra mile, and a few that do. When it finally gets into its groove on side 2, it sounds great, but by then it is too late to save the pacing of the album. So in the end, I'm going to be giving Fly By Night a 7 out of 10, as it is definitely worth checking out and can be very rewarding once you get into it, despite its very apparent flaws. And as usual, before we go, I want to look at the album sleeve. Now, look at this sleeve. Pretty nice, right? Always looks really nice when you look at it from afar. But when you start to look at it a little bit closer, you start to notice some weird, strange things about it, you know? It's Al. Al looks pretty nice. He's in a nice kind of frozen tundra looking area. Really like the face on the Al. But after a while, you start to notice some things. What's up with his feet? And legs in general. Owls aren't supposed to have feet. They're supposed to have talons. They should look like board legs, you know? He has, like, mammal legs and claws. Like bear legs. What's up with that? Also, at first it looks like he's just flying forwards. So, you know, his head being up here makes sense. But then you realize he's standing on the ground. And, you know, his wings are out here. And you're looking at the underside of his wings. What it would be if he was flying. So then you start to realize that his head should really be up here where the band's name is. So why is his head in his stomach? That's kind of strange. Although, admittedly, it does look quite nice from afar. Now, this album was originally in a gatefold sleeve that had lyrics on the inside. I don't have that version. This is a repressing. So, it's not wrapped around like it should be, but here's the back. I really do like the feather detailing on the owl, despite the other strangeness of his proportions. And you have kind of a Northern Lights up here too, that's very nice. I really do like the nice kind of frozen tundra sort of vibe here. And of course you have nice pictures of the members of the band, Lifeson, Peart, and Lee. So yeah, it's a decent album cover. It is very distinctive. It looks very nice until you start to look at it a little bit closer, and it looks kind of strange. So yeah, if you made it this far in the video, I want to thank you for watching. I do greatly appreciate it. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you.